Israel retaliating overnight after rockets targeted Tel Aviv for the first time since the 2014 war with Hamas.
A rocket fired from Gaza hit a home in central Israel, setting the building on fire.
5 rockets were fired from the Gaza Strip into southern Israel.
These 2 rockets were fired from Gaza. We know that they were not
rockets launched from Gaza. Now,
after precision strikes from the Gaza Strip, both mortars and Qassam rockets that have been
2 rockets were fired from Gaza into the southern part of Israel.
The Israeli military tonight successfully intercepted another barrage of Hamas rockets fired from Gaza toward Tel Aviv. Hamas, however, has had...
It's certainly clear from media reports that rockets are often fired into Israel from Gaza. But news reports never mentioned that the first rocket was fired on April 16, 2001, in response to over 6 months of shelling and invasions by Israeli forces that had killed more than 570 Palestinians. These reports also virtually never discuss how many Israelis have been killed by rockets, and how many Gazans have been killed by Israeli airstrikes. But this information is not hard to find. According to data from the Israeli organization B'Tselem, as of the making of this video in March 2021, a total of 30 Israelis had been killed by Palestinian rockets, and another 20 by mortar rounds. During that same time period, Israeli airstrikes have killed more than 4,000 men, women, and children in the Gaza Strip. Additionally, both Israelis and Palestinians have been killed by other means. Palestinians, as always, in far greater numbers. While media reports emphasize Palestinian armed resistance, the fact is that many more Palestinians have engaged in nonviolent resistance. For example, this 2010 demonstration by Gazan farmers against the confiscation of their land, and the 2018 Great March of Return, in which tens of thousands of people gathered along the Gaza border every weekend for 44 weeks straight, despite regularly being met with tear gas and sniper fire. It's also important to note that Palestinian resistance groups have minimal weaponry. No aircraft, no tanks, no ships. While Israel has the most technologically advanced military on Earth, according to Israeli military analyst Yaakov Katz, and even possesses nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, the Israeli-Egyptian blockade of Gaza has caused malnutrition in children and profound suffering for countless families. U.S. news media also failed to report that the large majority of Gazans are from refugee families that were forced off their land by Israel, which confiscated their homes and property. Valued in 1947 at over $480 million, the equivalent of $5.6 billion today. While Iran has occasionally sent weapons to Gaza, the vast majority of rocket attacks that you see on the news are done with simple, unguided rockets that are handmade from scrap materials. The New York Times has reported that the rockets are relatively slow, small, and unsophisticated, although the information was buried deep in the story. Since the US gives Israel over $10 million per day thanks to the Israel lobby, it is essential for Americans to know these facts, instead of media reports that reverse the reality, making the victims seem like aggressors and vice versa. For more details, please visit ifamericans.org/rockets. And for a more comprehensive list of people killed on both sides, check out IsraelPalestineTimeline.org.